Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that many people think they know, but is filled with surprising details. We're talking about World War I and America's role in it. Now, you might be thinking, America joined late. How much could they have really done? Well, you'd be surprised. America's entry into the Great War was more than just a footnote. It was a game changer that dramatically tipped the scales and shaped the outcome of the entire conflict. So, stick around as we uncover the unexpected and massive contributions the United States made to World War I. Let's set the scene. It's 1917. Europe has been locked in a brutal, bloody stalemate for nearly 3 years. The trenches on the Western Front are a nightmare of mud, barbed wire, and constant shelling. The initial enthusiasm for the war has long since evaporated, replaced by exhaustion and despair. The Allied powers, Britain and France, are on the ropes. Their armies are depleted, their economies are shattered, and their people are weary of the seemingly endless slaughter. Russia, one of the original major allies, is collapsing from within on the brink of revolution, which would soon take them out of the war entirely. The situation was dire. The Allies were running out of men, money, and morale. It felt like the Central Powers, led by Germany, might just outlast them. Then, on April 6, 1917, everything changed. The United States declared war on Germany. Now, it's important to understand the immediate impact of this. It wasn't about an instant flood of American soldiers hitting the front lines. That would take time. The initial and perhaps most crucial impact was psychological. The news of America's entry was like a massive shot of adrenaline for the exhausted Allies. Suddenly, there was a new, powerful partner in the fight. A partner with a vast population, immense industrial might, and seemingly bottomless resources. For the French and British soldiers in the trenches, it meant hope. It meant they weren't alone. It meant that victory, which had seemed so distant, was now a tangible possibility. On the flip side, for Germany, it was a devastating psychological blow. They now faced a new, fresh enemy, one that wasn't worn down by years of attrition. The German High Command knew their window to win the war was rapidly closing. This psychological shift can't be overstated. It re-energized the Allied war effort and put immense pressure on the Central Powers before a single American soldier had even fired a shot in Europe. Of course, America's contribution wasn't just about morale, it was about manpower, and a lot of it, when the US entered the war, its standing army was relatively small, but the nation quickly mobilized. Through the Selective Service Act, America began a massive draft. Young men from every corner of the country, from bustling cities to quiet farms, were called to serve. These soldiers, nicknamed doughboys, began arriving in Europe in the summer of 1917. Initially, the numbers were small, but by 1918, they were pouring in. At its peak, American troops were arriving at a rate of 10,000 a day. Think about that. Every single day, a fresh force equivalent to a modern brigade was landing in France. By the end of the war, over 2 million American troops were in Europe, with another 2 million in training back home. These weren't just bodies to fill the trenches. They were fresh, enthusiastic, and, crucially, not as jaded by the horrors of trench warfare as their European counterparts. Under the command of General John J. Pershing, the American Expeditionary Forces, or AEF, were organized. Pershing insisted that American troops fight under American command, rather than being used as piecemeal replacements for British and French units. This decision was pivotal. It preserved the AEF's morale and fighting integrity. While the doughboys were initially inexperienced, they learned fast and fought with incredible bravery. They played a decisive role in key battles during the final year of the war. For example, at Cantigny, Belleau-Wood, and Château-Thierry, American forces helped to halt the final major German offensive of the war in the spring of 1918. Their courage and tenacity in these battles earned them the respect of their allies and the fear of their enemies. The German soldiers were reportedly shocked by the Americans' aggressive, almost reckless fighting style. The culmination of the American military effort was the Meuse-Argonne Offensive. Launched in September 1918, it was the largest and deadliest battle in American history up to that point. Over 1.2 million American soldiers participated. It was a brutal, grinding fight through dense forests and fortified German positions. The objective was to cut the main German supply line, and after 47 days of relentless combat, they succeeded. This offensive shattered the German front line and was a major factor in forcing Germany to sue for an armistice. The fresh legs and aggressive spirit of the American forces were the battering ram that finally broke the stalemate on the Western Front. Without this massive influx of troops, it's highly likely the war would have dragged on, potentially into 1919 or 1920, with an even greater loss of life. But soldiers can't fight without guns, food, and supplies. And this is where we see America's other monumental contribution: its industrial might. Before entering the war, the US was already a manufacturing powerhouse, the largest in the world. When it declared war, this incredible industrial engine was fully committed to the Allied cause. American factories, which had been producing cars, tractors, and consumer goods, were rapidly converted to produce weapons, ammunition, ships, and other war materials. The scale of this transformation was staggering. This industrial output solved one of the Allies' biggest problems: a shortage of everything. The war had drained their economies. America's entry opened up a financial lifeline. The US government extended massive loans to the Allies, allowing them to purchase desperately needed supplies. We're talking billions of dollars, which would be trillions in today's money. This financial support kept the Allied war machines running when they were on the verge of collapse. But it was more than just money. American farmers ramped up production to feed the Allied armies and civilian populations, preventing widespread hunger. American factories churned out artillery shells, rifles, and machine guns in mind-boggling quantities. Let's talk about shipping. German U-boats had been devastating Allied shipping, threatening to starve Britain into submission. America responded with an unprecedented shipbuilding program. Using new techniques like prefabrication, American shipyards began launching ships faster than the U-boats could sink them. This bridge of ships across the Atlantic ensured that troops, food, and supplies could reach Europe safely and consistently. This victory in the Battle of Logistics was just as important as any victory on the battlefield. It neutralized Germany's best hope of winning the war and guaranteed that the full weight of American power could be brought to bear in Europe. In short, America became the arsenal of democracy, a term later used in World War II, but one that perfectly describes its role in the First World War. It provided the tools, the food, and the money that the Allies needed to achieve victory. So, when we look back at World War I, it's clear that America's entry was the turning point. It wasn't just a late arrival to a war that was already decided. It was a massive intervention that provided the critical psychological boost, the decisive military manpower, and the overwhelming industrial resources that the Allies desperately needed. The infusion of American morale re-energized the exhausted Allied nations. The arrival of 2 million fresh doughboys broke the bloody stalemate on the Western Front and spearheaded the final offensive that led to victory, and the full force of American industry supplied the Allied war effort, ensuring they could outlast and overwhelm the Central Powers. Without these contributions, the history of the 20th century could have been very, very different. The Great War was a global tragedy, but America's unexpected and powerful role helped bring it to a close. What do you think? Did you know the full extent of America's impact on World War I? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into history, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.